That was scary. Of all the builds I do out here, that was one of the scariest moments I've had. Hello everybody and welcome to the Terraform Homestead. For those of you who are new to our channel, we are an off-grid homestead in rural Arizona. And this week, we are coming to you asking the question, should you install your own mini split air conditioner? Not how to, should you? Situation here is we are very off-grid in the middle of nowhere, and it is very expensive and difficult to get contractors out to where we live. We're going into our 4th summer here, and I do not want to be another summer out in the middle of the desert without climate-controlled air conditioning. So I made the splurge and bought a mini split air conditioner. A little background on me. I built my own home, but am completely self-taught. I have no experience in HVAC, and, you know, consider myself a pretty average handyman, DIYer sort of thing. So this week, I wanted to challenge myself and see if it is possible to install a professional install system by yourself to save some money, and is it a good idea or not? So with that in mind, let's get into this build. Stick around to the end and I'll give you some thoughts and advice that I was not able to find on YouTube as I was looking into this. So hopefully it will help you with your build and that you will be, let's say, more successful than I was. A little bit of foreshadowing there. So with that, let's get into this build. Got all of our supplies for our air conditioning unit, all the new tools and stuff like that were delivered yesterday, which is very exciting. So getting into actually installing this. And the joy of living in a tiny home is when you're doing home renovations, the entire home is destroyed. I'm trying to get this done in like a day or two so that I can live in my house again. So first step is getting all this stuff down and put away somewhere. So far, this has been pretty good. I got the mounting plate up. Appreciate the cardboard little cutout thing to put that exactly where it's going. Appreciate their wiring here. So they actually have these little heat shrink things that say 1, 2, 3, 4, and those coordinate nicely with the little setup here. So that's super easy. Getting this pipe, that worked out really well because it's coming out, so I get a little extra distance here. So we're gonna get this wired up and get it up on the wall. I ordered the wrong torque wrench, ordered a 1/4 inch instead of a 3/8 inch, and the fittings I got for the wrenches that go onto the torque wrench were 3/8. So I didn't think it was that big a deal. I did go to town, which is about an hour round trip, to get a 1/4 to 3/8 adapter, not thinking it'd be a big deal. Got back, got everything set up, and realized that the 1/4 inch torque wrench does not have enough torque to do the proper settings. And I'm not an expert on a torque wrench, but I'm assuming there's a reason those settings are what they are. So I'm at a standstill. But I got the unit hung And then I got the indoor unit hung, and I got all the wires and stuff run. I still need to run the wires from the breaker box to the unit, but I think I'm going to do that the last step to at least connect it to the breaker box. So yeah, it's going to be a couple days before I head to town again. I do not want to do town 2 days in a row, or 2 times in one day, I guess. So we're going to pause on that and yeah, try and get the place back to a livable state for at least a couple days. So I had my 15-minute pity party, and then I was like, you know what, there's still stuff that can be done. So I got all of our line wrapped here, did some very, very necessary cable management stuff up here because I'm OCD like that. And you know, the Starlink cable was just kind of all over the place. Got our cap installed back there and spray foamed. You may be able to see that orange there. And then actually got a plug for the Starlink spray foamed because yeah, that's been stuffed with a plastic bag for like the last year. So next step is to get some little mounting brackets made for these, for all the cables that are wound up. And to do that, I'm going to use our 3D printer. If you haven't seen that video, be sure to go check that out because the 3D printer is an awesome, awesome tool for money saving and for convenient projects like this where I need something custom that fits this perfectly and don't want to go to the store that's an hour away and pay crazy, ridiculous prices. Got our first clips printing. This is going to take quite a long time. I don't know what is going on with this new Polymaker filament I got. It's the same stuff I've always used, but I think they changed their formula or something because I was having trouble printing with it on my last batch of stuff. Got stuff way slowed down just to be safe. And yeah, these are gonna be $1 for less than $1 for 4 of them, so about 20 cents a piece. So I got our first set of wall clamps off the printer, and I love this clear filament. Just makes really cool designs with the infill. Looking at this, it's a little long, but I think it'll be fine to use these for maybe on the outside. And then I'm gonna shrink this down, modify it just a little bit, and get another set printed. You know, one of the reasons I love the 3D printing stuff is these are about 90 cents worth of filament. If you were to buy these little clips at Home Depot or whatever, I'm sure they'd be bare minimum $1 a piece, probably like $2.50 right now. So I took 2 trips to town. I finally got a torque wrench that is the right size. Now I can kind of finish this thing out. Exciting. Well, that did not go well. I got this one in fine. This one, I think the line was just too far out and I didn't give enough slack. So I need to come in and reflare this, which I've never done before. So it's been about a week since I worked on this air conditioner project. So I have not used a torque wrench before, and I'm just learning and kind of screwed this up. So I think I was not getting it how it was supposed to be, and it torqued too much and undid this flare. I did it on both of them, unfortunately. I got a new flaring tool. I've also never done that, so that's going to be interesting. But the goal here is just to cut a little bit off this pipe. I've got plenty of line, reflare it, and then try and get it reconnected on this one and this one. The ones on the outside, I practiced with the torque wrench a little bit more and kind of got it figured out, so those went in well. Yeah, it was just these first 2 that didn't go so hot. So it's all learning experience, and that's why I'm doing this, to try and figure out, you know, is it possible as a DIYer to install a professional system? And most things in my life I found yes. Just on a struggle bus today. So put the nut on first before you put the thing on, and also don't lose the nut. But luckily doing YouTube, I film everything, so I found where I put the nut through the film. So kind of funny, sort of, in a crying sort of way, but we're gonna get there. We're going to get there. I'm convinced I'm cursed when it comes to plumbing. It's the one thing that I'm not good at. And so I went to get the Nylog to put on this flare, and the wind had knocked it over. I guess I'd left it open and it leaked all over the scaffolding outside. So I'm hoping there's a little bit left in here. hoping there's enough for these couple connections, because I don't want to go back to town. It's been 4 trips to get tools. It sucks. Again, put the nut on before you flare. Struggle bus today. Alright, so I got all the 4 lines hooked up and torqued. That was challenging. And now on to the next challenge, and that is vacuuming out the system to make sure that there's no leaks before the refrigerant gets released into the system, and there's a big problem. So it's a new set of challenges, a new tool to set up. You know, I know this sounds like it's really frustrating for me, and it is, but this is fun for me, so that's why I do this kind of stuff. Nothing comes easy, ever. I have to do everything the hard way, and by screwing up, that's how I learn the best. So that's why I'm going through this process. But on to figuring out how to use a vacuum pump now. Pull-out game on these is strong. I assume it's probably me. Having trouble with that torque wrench. I don't know, but we're gonna reflare this one too. Yeah, try it again. This one had the factory flare. I did get it to click on the torque wrench and it still pulled out. So I don't know what's going on here, but this is starting to make me think it's not just me that's having troubles with this. So yeah, I'm less confident on the system. I don't know. We're gonna see, but I'm just gonna keep trying on this. I'm gonna crank it down without the torque wrench and just kind of, you know, do it by feel, and we're gonna try and pressure test it and see what happens. I had my first win, if you want to call it that, of this project. So I was hooking up the lines and was finding that the vacuum pump I got does not fit the air conditioner I got. Went back and looked at the video, that does not fit. So I went, ordered the adapters, was gonna give up for another week. Came out, started packing stuff up, and these fell out of the box. So I got the adapter, yes. So we're still in the game. We're gonna try this, and hopefully it doesn't leak. And now we're supposed to let this run for half an hour. That guy is supposed to be at 30 to get all the stuff out of the lines. I'm gonna check some soapy water and see if we got any leaks. Alright, I am not seeing any bubbles here, which is good. Okay, the pumps haven't been on for half an hour. We're gonna hope this stays right where it's at. I'm gonna move on to something I do enjoy, and that is electrical work. So we're gonna get this hooked up to the main breakers. That I'm confident on, which is a wonderful feeling in life. It's been just over an hour and we're still right at that 30 mark, so that's exciting. I think that means we don't have any leaks. Killers, I'm as surprised as y'all are. I think I'm gonna leave it for another hour or so just to be totally sure. It's been about 4 hours now and that thing has not moved, which is a really good sign. So I think we're ready to get this done. I've checked with the leak detector that came with the pump, so the water set for 4.5 hours. Didn't move. All I have to do is to send it. Okay, so we got a problem. The big line up there is leaking around the nut. Pretty bad, actually. It's at kind of the joint here. So what I got going is I shut everything down back there, got the pump on, so hopefully it's pumping a lot of this out. And then I'm just gonna leave the house and leave all the windows and fan open for a couple hours because there's nothing I can do. I tried to crank it down and it's not tightening. Yeah, so I'm gonna try and get out of here and then figure out a plan from there. Okay, so I did get pliers up here and was able to tighten this down quite a bit. That helped. I can still see there's just a tiny leak in this. So yeah, I'm still gonna let it pump out. I'm not really comfortable being in here with this leaking, but I've got all the windows open. Yeah, there you go. There's one little bubble. And yeah, I've got the pump going on out here again. Okay, that was a little scary. I'm not gonna lie. I was able to crank that nut down enough so it stopped leaking. I'm gonna be checking on it pretty regularly. I've got our vacuum hooked up out there. I'm gonna leave that overnight just to make sure that the pressure stays where it's at now so that we aren't getting a leak. Still not super comfortable being in here sleeping overnight just in case something does happen. So I think what I'm gonna do is end up sleeping in our bus. That was an intense 3 minutes of my life. Oh no, oh, maybe. It's hard to tell because it's not terribly hot in here right now, but I think it's working. It's kind of underwhelming. But we're gonna let this sit overnight still to be safe. See what's going on in the morning. I definitely feel like when you're working on something new that you don't know a lot about, the more redundancies you can put into it, the better and the safer it's gonna be. So, okay, it's been about 2.5 hours since the incident. That number's still holding great, and yeah, that was scary. That was, of all the builds I do out here, that was one of the scariest moments I've had. Yeah, all kinds of fun when you're DIYing things. Okay, came back and checked this, and we dropped quite a bit. Something's leaking somewhere. I'm sure it's that inner part. Guess I'm going to research how to drain, I guess, and recharge the system. So I did figure out how to get the refrigerant out of the line. So that's what we're doing right now. You can see this is dropping slowly but getting there, and so that'll give me the opportunity to work on that leaky line inside. So I just got all the refrigerant back into the outdoor unit. I think that is something that is super important to have known how to do, just in case sort of thing, and that's something that a lot of these videos do not show me, so I'm going to leave a link to a professional explaining how to do that, because yeah, it goes really quick and it could have saved a lot of stress yesterday. I still don't quite know why I was holding a seal. Yeah, as soon as I opened it, it started leaking, so if anyone knows that, please comment, go ahead on that. So what I did, I just cracked that just a tiny bit just to make sure that it's not leaking anything. It's all good, so things are safe in here. I ordered a special sealant thing for those flare fittings that's supposed to be like totally idiot proof. I'm gonna try that. Back at it with this air conditioning build, and I got some flare seal. Putting a flare on copper is a skill set that I don't have, and so these are kind of the cheat sheets, sort of. They came highly reviewed. It's kind of got like a little rubber connector, so that way if your flare is not perfect, it doesn't leak. We're on plan D at this point of this build. So that means I've got 2 more times to screw this up before I get to plan F, which is F it. So we're gonna hope this works and that I have air conditioning today, because it's supposed to get into the 90s tomorrow. I got the new little thing on, and it actually torqued. The torque wrench worked for me this time, which is a plus. So we're going to vacuum the system again and pray and hope it works. Okay, so we've got a tiny little leak on our other inside one, just super tiny little bubbles. But at least now I know how to fix this. So we're gonna put the refrigerant back in, take that off, put that little flare set on there, and then try it again. Okay, I see no bubbles. We've got cold air coming out. I'm gonna check our pressure out there and probably let that run for like an hour just to make sure we're not losing any pressure. We've been running this for an hour now, and our pressure gauge has not moved a bit. Checked all of our lines again. Doesn't seem to have any leaks. It is nice and cool in here, which is wonderful after 3 summers of sweating for most of the day. This is going to be a big game changer. So this is a big project, but I'm very happy to have successfully got it done. So we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching, making it this far in this video. So kind of my takeaway on this build. It was a lot more challenging than I originally anticipated. A lot of the videos make it look really easy and simple and a DIY project. And honestly, HVAC is a skill set, and especially getting those flare connections right. Super important in a super delicate process, and very difficult with inexpensive tools. If I was to do this again, and if it was available to me, I think if a HVAC contractor was willing to come out and make the final installation hookups for, I would say, under $200, it probably would have been worth it to me to hire somebody. Unfortunately, where we are, the quote I got just to make the connections was over $600. And that's because they're coming from Tucson. It's an hour and a half each way. It's a full day out here. I get it, but also I don't want to pay $600. And so for me personally, it was worth it doing it myself. Honestly, I love learning and I love messing around with these kind of things. And as y'all saw in the video, I got to learn how to troubleshoot the system in case of an emergency, which to me is an extremely valuable thing to have learned. And, you know, now I can work with my system. But that being said, if you had a person that would do it for you and you weren't as interested in the learning experience of it, I think it's definitely worth it to hire a professional to do that final connection and final, you know, vacuuming out the system, releasing all the refrigerant, that kind of stuff. As far as the install of it, from mounting it, running the lines, putting in the electrical, all of that is super easy. That was super easy. Could have done that in an afternoon. I kind of piddled around on it for a while, so it took me a little bit longer, but I definitely think kind of the ideal situation would be to mount the unit, run your lines. If you have some experience with electrical, run the electrical. They made it really easy with that system, and then hire someone to do the final connection. So with that, let's get into cost breakdown and was it worth it from a cost perspective to do it myself. Okay, to run you guys through some of the costs and kind of do a comparison. If you're interested in the products that I use specifically, I will have links to everything below. Kind of starting off, the air conditioning unit itself for me was $700. We needed a torque wrench that came in at $33, a vacuum pump, which was $123, the mount was $55, the wrench was $27, Nylog, $13, that's that sealant. The flare seal, which I do recommend just as an insurance policy if you're doing it yourself, ended up being $16. Ended up having to buy a flare kit. That was a Harbor Freight purchase at $15. The electrical wire was $25. The 3D printed clips were $1 for all of them, which was great. And that would probably be a little more expensive if you bought them at the store. And then the breaker I already had set up, so that didn't cost me anything. So the grand total for me was $1,008 and total. So that's pretty good considering just the install for a professional was going to be $600. If I were to do it with a professional, I would still have to purchase the mini split, the mount, the electrical wire, the clips. With the $600 quote that I got, that would have came out to be $1,381. So almost a $400 savings by doing it myself, especially for what should have been an afternoon's worth of work. That's definitely worth it for me. If you do the DIY system, the one that is a comparable unit that I was seeing online came in at $1,738. Plus the mount, plus the electrical wire, plus the clips, that would have came out to $1,819. So over an $800 savings from doing the professional install system versus the DIY system. And even in my case, the professional install system with a professional installing it would have been cheaper than the DIY system. So, you know, take that into consideration when you are looking at these units and figuring out what works best for you. So I hope this video was helpful. If you guys have any comments or thoughts or ways that I could have done this better, please leave comments below, because I'm hoping this video can become kind of a community forum for other people that are looking to install their own systems, and hopefully you don't have as much trouble as I did with my system. Make a comment below, let me know what I did wrong. I've got a thick skin, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I am just happy to have this project wrapped up. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, we have another video that is similar queued up right now about installing our own solar system and the troubles that came along with that. So be sure to check out that link in my honest review of our signature solar setup. So that was a fun project too. So thank you guys for watching. Go build something cool.